with another video. And before I get into my new video, I just want to make a bit of an apology because you're probably thinking like, why haven't I uploaded for the past 2 weeks? It's because, well, I had a few things going on with my house, really, because my outhouse was getting renovated, which I do have a photo of like what's been looking like right now, but I'm not sure if it's fully done. I'm not sure what's going on with it because I've been trying to make some new videos of like what I've been seeing in the past few weeks, and most of them are kind of overdue. But I just wanted to get them out of my way and just put them on YouTube. But I will be trying to do some new videos of what I've been seeing for any upcoming weeks. Like I will be doing one this Friday. I'll be doing an AK After a Soul review on A Quiet Place Part 2. And then tomorrow on Thursday, I'm going to be reviewing the first Quiet Place before I do go and see Part 2 on Friday. So, but I will be doing a lot of videos I'll be doing on my channel. I'll be continuing to finish off reviewing the Saw franchise. I've got to review Saw 6, the final chapter, Jigsaw, and then of course I did see Spiral, which I'll do a review of that. After I reviewed the other 3 Saw films I have yet to review. I'll be also reviewing the Conjuring films. Well, I'm not going to review like Annabelle, like the 3 Annabelle films, or The Nun, or The Curse of La Llorona. I'm just only reviewing the first 2 films, and then I'll be reviewing the 3rd Conjuring film. And then I'll be reviewing other films I did see in cinemas, since cinemas reopened 2 weeks ago. And I'll be also reviewing 3 films I saw on Netflix, which 2 of them I'll be doing a double AK After a Soul review, and 1 separately that I did see last week. So just to inform you guys of what I'll be uploading in the upcoming videos. I'll be trying to do as many as I can. If I can't do the way I'm doing right now, I'll have to do one way you can't see my face on camera. You probably have to hear my voice of saying what I'm reviewing. Like say if I'm reviewing just anything random, like say a movie or video game, and you won't see my face on camera, I might do that if there is like noise in the background and stuff like that, I'll see what will happen. So just to inform you guys of like why I haven't uploaded the past few weeks. But I'm back again to do my new AK After a Soul review on a new movie I did see 2 weeks ago, since cinemas reopened, which is going to be on the new film I saw for this year. This is a 2021 3D live-action family comedy adventure film, and this is the sequel to the 2018 film, which I've already reviewed, which was my last video. And this is, of course, my review on Peter Rabbit 2: The Runaway. So, Peter Rabbit 2: The Runaway was directed once again by Gluck, who previously directed the first film, and he also co-wrote and produced this film. So this time around in the sequel, the Peter Rabbit 2, The Runaway, we see, of course, Peter Rabbit, once again voiced by James Corden, and his family are back. You know, his 3 triplet sisters, Cottontail, Flopsy, and Mopsy are back, as well as his cousin, Benjamin Rabbit, who are once again voiced by Elizabeth Debicki, Margot, Robbie, and Colin Moody. But unfortunately for Cottontail, she's not voiced by Daisy Ridley from the previous Peter Rabbit film, because I guess she was busy at the time in 2019, because this was shot in 2019, and then I guess she was busy at the time, like she was busy with, you know, the sequel trilogy of Star Wars as Rey, and doing reshoots in 2019 for Chaos Walken, but she is voiced by a different actress in this film. And we see the human characters from the previous film. We see Thomas, once again played by Domnhall Gleason, and B, once again played by Rose Byrne. They are now married, and basically Peter Rabbit's now famous because B has wrote a book about him and his adventures, and it's basically going to be published everywhere around the globe. And so basically we see Peter Rabbit and his friends travel out of the gardens to the big city of London, and Peter Rabbit feels like he's kind of like doesn't feel like he's like not mischievous anymore, because of like things have kind of now changed for him, and basically so we kind of see him like leaving his kind of like world around him, and he kind of enters a new world where he comes across this other rabbit known as Barnabas, voiced by Lenny Jones, who is sort of a bad rabbit, because basically he steals fruit, vegetables, and candy. Like, he steals from shops and markets, and basically we see him kind of exploring where being mischievous is kind of accepted, but soon things start to go way too out of hand, and he basically gets him involved with basically gets his family involved, and so it's basically up to Peter Rabbit to basically get all of his family and friends back. So that's pretty much the story of Peter Rabbit 2, The Runaway. So again, for me, going into Peter Rabbit 2, The Runaway, I just didn't know what to expect from this one, because like I said, I thought the first one was just good. It wasn't a perfect family film for me. It wasn't like one of those family films that were just garbage. No, I surprisingly had a pretty good time with it, because back then, again, like I said, I thought this was just going to be trash, but when the reviews dropped by, I decided to give it a chance, and I surprisingly had a pretty good time with the first Peter Rabbit. So when I heard we were getting a sequel, I just didn't know what to expect from the sequel, thinking I wasn't expecting this movie to be trash. I was expecting to think, is this going to be okay? Although there were some couple of jokes from the trailers that were funny, although, you know, sometimes with jokes and trailers for either like family or comedy films kind of spoil films. But there were some jokes that were not shown from this movie into the trailers that thankfully did not spoil this film. But I was of course going to go and see this film back last year in 2020 in March, but then when the pandemic began, unfortunately, you know, it had to get pushed back to August. Then it got pushed to this year in March. Then it got pushed to May. And it did come out in May when cinemas reopened. So I went and see it after cinemas reopened. And again, like I said, I did rewatch the first film in preparation before I went to see the sequel. And so, like I said, I did see this when cinemas reopened, and I surprisingly also had a good time with this one. This one was actually a good sequel. I enjoyed this one as well, along with the first one. It's not by all means a perfect film, because I did have some small issues with the film. They weren't like outrageously bad or anything like that. They were just kind of like a bit of a bug. They were kind of like bugging a bit to me, even though I was still having a good time watching the sequel. There was some subplots in this movie that did kind of felt a bit that just kind of felt uninteresting to me, like for the human characters. Not like the human characters were bad in this movie. The human characters were fine, but it was just some of the subplots in this film that I just didn't really find that interesting. Like, you've got Bee, who's focusing on her novel, and she's getting like more ideas of what her novel should be, since it's about Peter Rabbit and his friends. And you've got Thomas, who's destined to become, you know, a father figure, because we hear that he didn't have a good childhood or anything, so he's destined to become, you know, a father, and, you know, he just wants to have a baby. And then but the main story is about Peter Rabbit learning about himself, thinking if he is this mischievous bunny, or like mischievous rabbit, or he's just like, well, who he is really, since everything has now changed around him, since Bee and Thomas have now married, and then things have kind of like changed really. Although we do kind of follow him like missing what he usually does, and then starts to learn more about it, where it's kind of like accepted, although it kind of feels feel way too much for him, and he can't handle it and all that. Like, of course, which that's the main story of the film, and it does have a really good message on thinking like who you are, if you're like this good or bad person of sorts. Well, actually, no, it's not like that. It has a good message about like who you really are, though, which that's a really important message when it comes to movies. Although there are some movies that try to do that, but there are just some that just plays out too boringly bad for me. Although there are some movies that I appreciate for what they do for messages. It's just there are some that just do not play for me whatsoever. The jokes in the film, there were some jokes that were kind of passable for me. They weren't cliched or bad or anything. There were some funny jokes that had me like kind of like snapped, and then I just nearly burst out laughing. Although I didn't want to laugh too loud, otherwise I'll get kicked out of the screening. But there were some funny slapstick jokes in this film that I enjoyed, and thankfully there was nothing controversial in this one, because, you know, the first film, like I said, in my review of the first film did face controversy back in 2018, when, of course, you know, for one scene that brought controversy was about the allergy scene. Thankfully, this film did not have anything controversial, which that was a good thing. I wasn't like angry when I first saw the controversy for the first film. I was just shocked and I wasn't like disgusted. I was just completely shocked about it. But this one, there was nothing controversial for anything. Like there's like has like anything cartoony and slapstick that kind of goes way too out of hand. No, there was nothing like that in this one. But the slapstick violence and gags that happen in this movie are really funny, involving, you know, Peter Rabbit and other animals, and including like Domhnall Gleason getting into some kind of mishaps in this film, which are really funny. And the performances, for the most part, you've got, you know, for human characters, you know, you got Rose Byrne. She's of course really good in the movie, as well as Domhnall Gleason. He was also really good in the movie. And for voice actors, of course, you know, you've got James Corden, Elizabeth Debicki, Margot Robbie, Colin Moody, and you've got Lenny Jones in this one, who plays Barnabas. The voice work were all really good, and they all provided really good elements for their characters. For some of the cuteness for themselves, you know, for Peter Rabbit's triplet sisters, of course, you know, they are cute in the film. And for the new voice actress who voiced Cottontail in this movie, who replaced Daisy Ridley in this one, she wasn't too bad, although I mainly prefer Daisy Ridley's voice in the film. But the actress who played her in this movie, she wasn't too bad, and I thought she was pretty funny for anything that Cottontail does in the film. Like, well, there's one scene in the movie, which it's not a spoiler, by the way, because it was shown in the trailers, and that was, you know, Cottontail getting hyper on sugar. You know, it is funny. Even though it is kind of like a gag I've seen before 1,000 times, or even though it's just like whatever kind of way I feel like if I've seen any of these kind of gags before, but differently, if they either like snap me so hard, like snap me, and then I'll just laugh out loud, and sometimes it just kind of bores me, and then it will just make me even more bored, and then I would be like that if I was watching anything for a movie that is kind of like has the same gag in either like family films or comedies or anything like that. But everyone in this movie, I thought everyone in this movie, they all gave good performances enough. So in the end, Peter Rabbit 2: The Runaway, this was a good sequel, and like I said, I just back then I had I just thought the film was going to be okay, but no, I had surprisingly had a good time of it, and I enjoyed this one a lot as well, a lot like the first film, and I would definitely pick it up on physical media, since I do have the first film. And if you're a fan of Peter Rabbit, of course, like if you're a fan of the books, or if you were a fan of the first movie, I would recommend this movie. It's coming out this month in June in the US, and it already came out 2 weeks ago in the UK, just to inform you guys on like where you can watch Peter Rabbit 2. And it already came out like in Australia, but then it came out first, and then it came out in the UK second, and now it's going to be coming out in the US in the coming days. So just like I said, just to inform you guys on like where you can watch Peter Rabbit 2. So I'm going to give Peter Rabbit 2: The Runaway a 3.5 out of 5. Being a pretty good sequel, although it's not like one of the best family sequels I've seen since like Paddington 2, but I would still recommend the film though, for those who are a fan of Peter Rabbit, or if you're a fan of any of these actors like James Corden or anyone else within this film. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching for my review of Peter Rabbit 2: The Runaway. I'm glad to be back, because, you know, I apologize I haven't made the video in 2 weeks, because I had a few things going on with my house, and I was being quite a bit busy seeing new stuff. But I will share my views on what I saw for the past few weeks. I have a lot to do. But tomorrow I'll be reviewing A Quiet Place, and then Friday I'm going to be reviewing my AK After I Saw review on part 2 of A Quiet Place. I can't wait to review both of those movies for you guys in special ways. I'm really looking forward to doing that. And as always, this has been Falcons Media Corner signing off.